Hello, and welcome to another episode of 5 Faves. This week I am doing PlayStation 3! This series is where I talk about 5 of my favourite games from a console. It doesn't necessarily have to be my top 5, but just highlighting games that I've enjoyed playing. I guess we'll get right into it. First up, Journey. So I'm sure Journey makes a lot of people's recommended PlayStation 3 games lists, and for good reason. It's developed by That Game Company, great name for a game company by the way, and you follow a character as he ventures towards the top of a mountain. The art style is phenomenal. I remember the first time I played it, I booted it up and I spent ages watching my character slip up and down the sand dunes and through the sand, and it's just stunning. The game's very short. It took me about 2 hours to clock it on my first run. I actually booted it up to play some gameplay for this video, and I accidentally played the whole game through again. It's so good, it sucks me in every time. Now that I know exactly where to go, I clocked it in just over an hour. But it's a fantastic example of quality over quantity. The score is phenomenal. It just fills you with this sense of wonder and adventure. And actually, now that I think of it, one of my favorite video game moments ever is from this game. The first time I hit sort of the last leg of the game, anyone who's played it will know what I'm talking about, but that first time I got shivers. I was so overwhelmed, I guess. Don't forget to make sure your system's online when you do play it. You can actually get people drift in and out of your game if you are online. My playthrough for this video, I actually didn't get anyone. I don't know if the PlayStation 3 servers are still up and running or not. I don't know what the dealio is there. But hey, if you've got a PlayStation 4, it's also available on there, and you may get some more luck with partnering up with online people. But going back to the PlayStation 3 version, the physical collector's edition also had Flow and Flower on the disc. Both games by That Game Company as well. I haven't actually played Flow, but I've played a little bit of Flower, and it's really, really good. You control the wind with the motion controls in your PlayStation 3 controller, and it's beautiful. It's just so relaxing and calming. Yeah, so I recommend playing that one as well. So, Journey, highly recommend it, as everyone else does that's played it. For good reason. Get on it if you haven't already. And again, it's on PS4 as well if you don't have a PlayStation 3. Next up, one of my favorites, Saints Row 2. Now, this game is off the wall bonkers. I absolutely adore it. I didn't play the first Saints Row, this is where I started, but have played all the ones since because of how good this game was. When people ask me about Saints Row, I always tell them it's like a fun Grand Theft Auto. I've never really gotten into the Grand Theft Auto games because they always take themselves too seriously, whereas this is the complete opposite, and I adore it for that. Again, for this video, I was recording gameplay, so I booted up my old save file to see where I was at, and sure enough, this is what went down. First, I discovered that my character was stark naked. Great. Then I discovered that he looked like Borat, had the moustache going and all. So I started running around to see what was going down. Found a lady wearing a G-banger on the sidewalk, so I tried jumping on her for a bit. It didn't do anything. So then I started a fist fight. A bunch of pimps came. Then the cops rocked up and got their batons out and started beating people. So naturally, I stole the cop car. Drove it, crashed it. Discovered that there was a streaking mini game, so started running around naked, offending people. These two were chasing me with their mace but couldn't spray it because they knew full well that running and spraying mace hits you, not the offender. Smart AI. Messed around a little bit more, stole a car, drove into a gas station. The explosion sent me up onto the freeway. That was great. Then I parked this car in I mean, it's not my best parking job, but it was alright. It was just, honestly, I was laughing the whole way through playing this yesterday. When I first played through this game, I played it to death. I actually unlocked all the bits of the map, took over everything, all the optional challenges, everything, like, and loved every minute. Bought the DLC, which I never do, but I bought the DLC for this, and that was fun as all hell. Yeah, it's just absolutely bonkers, off the wall. If you enjoy a bit of fun in your Grand Theft Auto, please give Saints Row a go. Saints Row 2 is still my personal favourite of the series, but 3's still really good. 4's a bit but fun, and Get Out of Hell's a bit of a riot as well. So, I mean, Get Out of Hell's got a Disney musical number right in the middle of it, so no complaints there.
If roles were reversed, God, I know they'd save me, but all my solutions involve murder sprees.
Saints Row 2.
Drop it.
Anyone hit and need a lawyer?
Next up, God of War 3.
Kratos will have his revenge.
This game is gnarly. It's messy, it's gory, but it is gorgeous. Honestly, some of the best graphics on the PlayStation 3 are in here. It's just a tight action game, you know? The combat's fantastic and it's hugely satisfying, but again, very, very messy, just so you know. The opening, like, hour of the game is completely off the wall nuts. I remember when I first played this game and was just blown away by the scale of this thing. You play as Kratos, this badass mofo, who's always really angry and talks real rah 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 rah.
Zeus! Your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
And at the start of the game, you're, as Kratos, climbing on titans that are in turn climbing Mount Olympus, and the scale is ridiculous. The character design's fantastic, the enemy design's fantastic.
You have disrespected the gods for the last time, Kratos!
The level design's great. There's some environmental puzzles, but they're all pretty easy throughout the whole game. The combat, the art direction, and the graphics are totally up there. It is, as I said, one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 3, and I really do recommend it. It takes everything that was good on the past two God of War games and ups them a lot. Yeah, another win for Santa Monica Studio. Next up, Spec Ops The Line. This was a bit of an underrated hit. I think its success was more to word of mouth than anything. I mean, just by looking at the front cover, it looks like any other generic shooter, but it's more than that. It's actually got a lot to say about war and what it does to people that fight these wars. It's quite heavy and quite emotional, actually, towards the end especially. Gameplay wise, third person cover shooter, think like Gears of War or like the combat sections of Uncharted. It's set in Dubai, in an alternate future where Dubai has been wiped out by a war. Most shooters are run and gun, beat up all the bad guys, yeah, America. This one's very conscious of the morals of it all, I guess. As I said, it has a lot to say about war and how awful it is for everyone involved. I heard about this through word of mouth, through people recommending it, and I'm so glad I gave it a chance. I'm not really a shooter person, but I did really enjoy this. The storyline's fantastic. The design, like the art design, is phenomenal. Even like the loading screens look really great. Please give this a go if you're into these kinds of games. Even if you're not, give it a crack. It's worth your time. It really is. And number 5, my very last one for this video, Ninokuni. How can we forget? Ninokuni Wrath of the White Witch. This is developed by Level 5, who you may know as the developers of Dragon Quest VIII, Yokai Watch, Fantasy Life on the 3DS, Dark Cloud, Rogue Galaxy. They've done some cool stuff, and this is no exception. It was actually a collaboration between them, Level 5, and Studio Ghibli, who did a bunch of the art direction and the anime cutscenes in the game as well. So the game follows a young boy called Oliver who journeys into this parallel fantasy realm in an attempt to save his mother, I think it was. Along the way he meets Drippy, little companion, and a cast of other wonderful characters. The game's huge. It's I think it took me about 40 hours to finish, so pretty decent size JRPG. The world is massive and colourful and lovely and just beautiful, packed to the brim with things to see, people to talk to. The towns are gorgeous, all with their own unique design. Later in the game you have access to, spoiler alert, a dragon that you can fly around the overworld with, and it really highlights how vast and expansive this whole fantasy world is that's been created. The combat's sort of a real-time battle / monster collecting thing. Pretty simple to pick up and then a little bit tricky to master. That's how I like it personally, but I don't really remember having too much difficulty with any of it.
We won!
But overall the game is full of charm, full of wonder. The voice acting's fantastic, British voices, I love it. Drippy is hilarious.
You just witnessed the rebirth of Drippy, Lord of the Fairies.
Who?
What, are you deaf or something? Drippy, Lord of the Fairies, I said, didn't I?
It's genuinely, in my opinion, like the best JRPG on the system, hands down. It's so far ahead of anything else in terms of production quality, in terms of story, in terms of graphics, in terms of art design, in terms of battle, in terms of literally everything. I absolutely adore this game start to finish, and I think anyone that appreciates a good JRPG, especially Level 5's previous work, is gonna love this to bits. It's so good. Oh, and can we talk about the Wizard's Companion? So in game, there's this book, this massive book that has all this information on the world around you, and it is freaking huge. And you can zoom into tiny little paragraphs and then zoom out and see how big and how many pages this whole book is. And in fact, the collector's edition, which I do have up there, you can't see them, has a physical copy of the book. You can literally hold this thing in your hands and flick through it, and it's accurate to the game. It's ridiculous. It's so cool. Well, that's about it for me. These are 5 of my favourites on the PlayStation 3. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you agree with any, if you disagree with any, or tell me 5 of your favourites. Again, they don't have to be your top 5, just 5 games you really dig and think everyone else should play. Let me know down in the comments. I love reading comments from everyone, and I think that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!